we're going to have a look at another public meeting that was held last night in Dublin. This was a meeting of very concerned residents to do with the Citywest asylum hub that is due for population very shortly. People in the area are understandably concerned how it's going to impact them, how it's going to impact their community. Safety issues, many concerns, many fears, and there are many community groups in this particular area. Another one is Clondalkin Says No group, and in this clip you're going to hear a Sinn Féin councillor who goes by the name of William Carey, who stands up and says he wants to listen to his constituents and then proceeds to call them far-right fascists, which doesn't go down too well with the assembled crowd, as I'm sure you can understand. And just before we play this, you could just take a look at the crowd. Take a look at that crowd, and I know you shouldn't judge by appearances, but it doesn't look like a far-right fascist gathering to me, judging by this photograph and the people that are talking at this, concerned residents, and this labelling of people with this daft title that if you are somehow concerned about your area and you're worried about your safety, your children's safety, about the infrastructure in the area, about homelessness in the area, about issues that are not being dealt with by your councillors or by your government, that somehow you're far right, you're an extremist, you're a fascist. This is going to backfire spectacularly on these fools that are using these terms, these throwaway slurs, to brand their constituents. But anyway, let's hear William shoot himself in both feet, then dig a hole and proceed to jump into it.
I'm William Carey of Sinn Féin, and I think, is that the extent of elected reps we have?
Traitor. So it's never a good sign when you're asked to take the stand or take the podium to speak, and the first words out of someone's mouth is traitor. This person is disgusted at Carey getting up to take the stage and then proceeds to leave. You can't see this happening. This is why I'm telling you it. And then Carey loses his cool and makes a few faux pas.
I've listened intently to what's being said here tonight. I've heard a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, and I think a lot of that is genuine.
A lot of it is genuine. He's heard fear, he's heard anxiety, and he thinks a lot of it is genuine, which by inference means that he believes that some of it, or a percentage of it, whatever percentage, I don't know, is not genuine. The fears and anxieties are being expressed, but it's not all legitimate. A lot of it's genuine, but that means that a percentage isn't.
I have absolutely no problem in coming along, assisting, helping, and talking to people who are expressing their fears. What I won't accept is to be termed a traitor or anything else by any far-right activist who's just walked out the door here. Anyone who thinks that Clondalkin Says No is not a far-right activist is not realistic. They are nothing more than fascists, and I will have nothing got to do with those. And I suggest that no.
So, community residents group association Clondalkin Says No, formed, wouldn't even exist. They wouldn't exist. This group, Clondalkin Says No, would not exist if it weren't for what is being forced upon them by the likes of this man who has been labelled a traitor. And you can remember last week, I think it was, I put up a video clip of two women that put Gerry Adams on the spot outside a courthouse, branding him and Sinn Féin traitors. What do you have to say to that, Gerry? He had no answer. He didn't deny it. He proceeded to speak Irish to try and demean them. Well, this man, upon being labelled a traitor, instead of standing there and holding his hands up and say, "Excuse me, how am I a traitor? Can you explain yourself to me, please?" Instead, he goes on the offensive. He lashes out at his own constituents, people that would have voted for him, allegedly, in the past to put him into the position that he's in. And instead he calls them far-right fascist group in Clondalkin Says No. and you'll see the response.
Bring it back to the meeting. Bring it back to the meeting.
That's it.
Without interruption. It's all the immigrant.
That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it.
Guys, this is not supposed to be a political
Sorry, please. Can we bring it back to the meeting?
Yeah.
Community. Okay. Can we just bring the level down?
That's called reading the room, William. You know, read the room, William, and look at this guy. Is this what is being elected as councillors to represent the people in Dublin? Inarticulate, insensitive, completely detached from reality, ignorant. This is it. Any wonder the place is in the mess that it's in. That goes for the north, the south, the east, the west, and Middle Ireland, as Pater Tobin fluffed up and spoke yesterday, or the interview that was published yesterday with him from Into. What a complete and utter disaster. But anyway, here we have another Muppet cut from the same kind of cloth, albeit with a different name.
This is a community meeting.
My intention is not to disrupt. My intention is to listen to the people who are coming along here to whack.
His intention isn't to disrupt, he says. My intention isn't to disrupt. Well, you've disrupted. My intention is to listen to people's fears. Well, you've branded them. You've slurred them. You've smeared them. So that might not have been your intention. Maybe you're just an ignoramus. But that was the result. That was the result. And you heard the women in the background. You couldn't see the crowd shot, and the men that were shouting out, we're just concerned parents. We have fears. We want to be listened to. We're worried about our children. But no, get the slurs out, William. Some of the responses: Sinn Féin support dumping illegal, unvetted men into the community. You didn't defend that. I would love someone to explain to me how these people were elected if there's so much disdain from the audience. Well, great question. Are they now concerned, or were they not concerned last November? I think a lot of people have voters' regret in Ireland at this time. Shinner logic: Brits out, everyone else in. Yep, that's the mantra. Brits out, get the Brits out, get the Brits out of Ireland. But bring the Somalians, the Ethiopians, the Eritreans, the Nigerians, the Albanians, the Afghans, the Romanians. Just bring them all in. Bring them in. But get the Brits out. There's a little graphic at the bottom. All these politicians are socialists by default, would not be able to hold down a job in the real world. And there's a little graphic there. Left, the right, and the far right. Yeah. More and more people falling into that part of the bell curve, really, isn't there? At least by the definition. Most of these people couldn't even define what far right is anyway. They can't tell you what a woman is, and they're going to tell you what far right is. This is what Sinn Féin traitors think of the Irish people today. They don't represent the Irish people, but they represent the new voters, whether they're illegal or legal. They want and need their votes after stabbing the Irish people numerous times. This is listen, I run a smallish channel here in the scheme of things. It's just a small little channel, but there's traffic coming through here daily, and the feedback concerning parties like this is almost unanimous. It is bad. It is bad. That's a seat gone in the next election. Sinn Féin is part of the WEF. Again, that was put to Gerry Adams last week. outside the courthouse. You're just a WEF, World Economic Forum member. Jerry, what do you have to say to that? At that point, actually, this is worth noting, at the point that Jerry Adams was accused of being a WEF member, at that point he reverted to speaking Irish to these women and persisted with it to try and demean them and humiliate them. But that backfired on him too, because he was asked, do you speak Irish to immigrants, Jerry? Never trust Sinn Féin or any other party in government. People need to march on the Dáil and remove these treacherous politicians from government. That ain't going to happen in the short term. I'm pretty sure of it, but it's certainly inching that way. Sinn Féin are done. They're traitors. He wasn't even expecting that reaction from the crowd. Just shows they're not taking our concerns seriously. The Irish are awake now. They will not be gaslit anymore. So, of course, as always, comment section below here is open. You're free to take this clip, this video that I've made, cut and paste the link, drop it into your Facebook groups, drop it into your WhatsApp groups, share it on your social media pages, do whatever you want with it. Just get the word out there, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Consider joining the channel if you haven't already done so. There's a weekly Q&A for channel members there. You get to ask me stuff directly, because I miss a lot of stuff through the week in these comment sections. There's so much traffic coming through here. But for channel members, I can pick up on individual comments and then make a weekly Q&A video addressing them directly, their questions and stories directly on a members video, and that's available every Wednesday. So anyway, just something to think about. And for now, I'm Rick Munn, No Risk No Reward Media, over and out.